Thanks to the support as a channel member, Marco. Oh, boys and girls, today is the reunion. We get to play against my old Peterborough team, and actually, they've got a chance of staying in the Premier League. So I'm feeling a little bit guilty about what we might be about to do to them, but we've got a chance to get in the Champions League. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 12 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we are at home against Peterborough in the Premier League. We're also away against Watford, two teams down in the relegation zone in the Premier League. These are crucial matches. Since you were last with me, we have got ourselves back to winning ways, and we did get absolutely smashed by Manchester City after yesterday's episode. But we did then win the next couple of games against Leeds and against Aston Villa. Pedro Luis is the only player who's scored for us throughout the month of March. It seems that switching him to be our advance forward has definitely worked for him, but it's also killed off Julian Alvarez, who was in great form before that. As you can see, he got 6 goals of his own in February and hasn't scored since. The switch to playing as the deeper forward not done him any favours at all, but we're winning matches, and winning matches is important, and this is what the Premier League looks like. We've played 31 games, more than any of the teams around us. Liverpool, 1 point behind us. We're definitely still looking down rather than up. Liverpool, 1 point behind us, but they've got a game in hand. 4 points clear of Brighton in 7th, who've played the same number of games as us. We are looking pretty good for European qualification of some flavour. And the opportunity for the Champions League is still there. If we do just glance up tentatively, Arsenal level on points of us, better goal difference, and they have a game in hand. We're also only 2 points behind Manchester United, and ultimately only 6 points behind Chelsea, who are top of the Premier League, but they do have games in hand, or a game in hand on us as well. We're probably not going to win the Premier League. I'll put that one out there. But there is the opportunity we could get in the Champions League, which will go a long way towards clearing this debt that I've built up through my transfers, basically. We could do with a little bit of a financial injection, especially with Tammy Abraham coming in on big money and wrecking that as well. It'll all be fine. It will all be absolutely fine. This is the team that we're putting out there for the game against Peterborough. It's Hoy and Hal in goal, a back four of Angelino, Caesar, Knoll and Mingueza, Zamorano at the base of the midfield, Janusek and Tipple ahead of him, Gilberto Carlos then behind Alvarez, and Pedro Luis up front. I think this Peterborough team is going to look very familiar. They haven't done a lot in the way of transfers since I left nearly 2 years ago now. They had most of the season in the Premier League getting themselves relegated, and then they had last season in the Championship getting promoted again. But if we look through the team, it's largely my signings. I signed Ocampos, Angelbert, Guzman, although he was signed as a youngster but is now into the team. Liam Kitchen was there when I arrived, so he's not my signing, but he's one of my boys. Simpson and Santiago in midfield, signed both of them. Simpson, similar to Guzman, wasn't really in the team. He's the youngster we signed from Oxford and has clearly developed pretty well since I left, and I guess since I took Asa Walsh out of his way, who sat down on our bench today. Okoli, of course, is the guy who I spent £21 million on. He was a bit of a flop, but then was player of the season in the Championship last year. And then Elliot Anderson and Rhian Brewster up front, all my boys. And if you look down at the bench, there's still more of them. Bezic, Smith, Young, Prigmal, Gallagher. These are all players that I signed at Peterborough. It is the closest thing to a LOLLUJO derby we've had on this season's Non-League to Legend so far. Who knows? Maybe Schalke are having a fantastic season in Germany and we'll play them in the Europa League next year and we'll get another one, but that's probably quite unlikely. This is your lot for the time being. An early preview of the LOLLUJO Cup, which will be coming up at the end of the FM22 cycle, as long as Versus Mode works the same way it did last year when it's eventually released. I mean, we're promised it's coming. We just don't know when it's coming. Carlos now turns nicely in midfield, lays it off to Janusek, and now Zamorano and Angelino, who is playing it into Tipple. This is a nice move from us. Tipple trying to get the cross in, but it's defended well, but Tipple ends up coming away with the ball anyway. Angelino now with the cross, and there is Gilberto Carlos. There is an 8th goal of the season for him. It's 1-0 to Norwich. It's only taken us 4 minutes. I did say in the intro that I feel a little bit bad about what we've got to do to Peterborough today, but there's no room for sentimentality in football. I'm trying to have the most successful career I can possibly have. If the trade-off is for us to get in the Champions League, I have to relegate Peterborough, then so be it. I am a monster. I'm not a real fan. Well, you know what? Niblets tea, it's a video game. Tipple was in there but couldn't get his shot past Ocampos, who is still constantly coming up on my scout reports. I don't think I need to sign another goalkeeper anytime soon, but he seems like he's probably better than some elements of the comments section thought he was when he first arrived for us. Noel now, and he adds 2 bites of the cherry. Ocampos saves one in the post, saves the other. And as it stands right now, as you can see, we are in that 4th spot, that Champions League qualification spot, albeit with Arsenal having that game in hand over us. So they're probably still in the stronger position out of the two of us currently. Zamorano now forward to Janusek, out wide to Mingueza, who's got a lot of space to pick a ball here if he can beat his man. He does beat his man. Alvarez is there, but he can't force it past Ocampos, who, despite conceding that goal early, does seem to be having a pretty good game so far. Angelino with the cross, and Alvarez is there, and he's finally back on the goal sheet. Score sheet, goal sheet, score sheet. 14th goal of the season for him. 2-0 to Norwich after 12 minutes. We can take the foot off the gas now, lads. We don't want to humiliate them. We just need the 3 points. We don't need to absolutely disassemble them. We need them to have a little bit of life left in them for this relegation battle. They're only 4 points from safety with 6 games to go after this. Let's leave them with some confidence, lads. We're leaving them with some confidence. Goodness me, we're shooting towards the Peterborough fans behind the goal at the moment. So I imagine I'm not getting the greatest of receptions from those travelling Peterborough fans today either, because obviously from their point of view, Peterborough fan, plucked from non-league, given a massive opportunity at a big job, did well, became a hero, did a transfer window whilst constantly telling them to trust the process. I've got a plan. Don't worry. It might not make a lot of sense, but it makes sense to me. 8 games in. Right, I'm off to Germany now, lads. Enjoy relegation. And never looked back. So I can understand I'm probably not a fan favourite. I'm probably not welcome back at London Road anymore. But they've done all right, haven't they? I will maintain until the day I die. They're only in the Premier League now because of me. They've had 2 spells in the Premier League because of the players I signed. We went through them before the match. This is still the squad I put together. That weird transfer window you didn't understand, that's the one that got them back up again. And we'll probably get them back up again in 2 years when they go down this year. I might steal Guzman from them, though. I have been scouting him. I'm always keen to get a young player that I discovered. We signed him from Bolton, and get him to reunite with the other really good youngster we had at Peterborough, Asa Walsh, in our squad. I could live with that. I wonder if he's got a relegation release clause like Walsh did. Right, Noel playing it forward to Janusek, and there is Tipple bursting forward. We're not going to have money for relegation release clauses because we're going to spend our entire budget on his optional future fee because he's such a good player. There's another example of it. Crossover to Alvarez again, who I think he's probably watched the introduction to this video and he's been made aware that he's fallen off the goal-scoring pace a little bit and has decided to get back in the mix. It's his 2nd goal today. We've not seen anything from Pedro Luis yet. Which way round are they being marked? Who's Guzman marking? Guzman is marking Alvarez. Maybe we won't sign Alvarez. Maybe we'll just leave him there because Alvarez is making him look not very good today, whereas Kitching seems to be doing a pretty decent job on Pedro Luis at the moment. Right, Okoli. I'd like to see him do something just to justify the amount of money I spent on him to you lot. I know he was a good signing because I saw how well he played last year in the Championship when I kept going in and checking. But you lot still think I'm a madman for signing him, and I don't like that reputation. Right, Pedro Luis, first real look at him today, and Janusek, I mean, the ball's been knocked around beautifully in midfield there. I think Pedro Luis is offside. He is offside, but the speed of the passing in our midfield diamond, I couldn't keep up with it there. It went through Carlos Tipple, Janusek and Zamorano quicker than I could say one of their names, and all of a sudden we've got our super fast Brazilian striker one-on-one with the keeper. That's how good our midfield is when they play at their best. And as much as I love Peterborough, I don't think Anderson, Santiago and Simpson are really up to the task of containing our midfield four, and I think that's being demonstrated today. Rhian Brewster's been moved out onto the left wing for them now. Young has come on, the striker that I signed from Leeds and didn't really use massively, but he's on the pitch now, so we get to see him. Pedro Luis is going to come off. He's actually had a pretty poor game. We'll swap those two over, and Alvarez can actually go back to being... He's now scoring from being deep lying forward. He can go back to being a bit more attacking again now. Sessegnon can come on for Angelino as well, as we continue to just rotate those two constantly while we're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for a more permanent solution at left back. I mean, we're in a similar situation at fullback on both sides. We've got... all four of our fullbacks are over 30. They're all pretty good, but none of them are long-term solutions in a system that really relies on the wing-backs getting forward and providing all of the width. So we probably need a good, young-ish wing-back on both sides this summer if we're going to be getting into Europe, along with Tipple, if we can get him, or at the very least Tipple on loan for another year, if we can do that. While we fund the fullbacks now, it's a challenging transfer window ahead because this squad to me still feels like a work in progress. But all of a sudden we find ourselves potentially taking a work in progress into the Europa League, which seems like a nightmare scenario that's going to lead to us finishing about 15th next year, as we have a squad that's too small with very little in the way of homegrown players. It's all going to go desperately wrong. Alvarez is injured there. He was injured before that tackle came in, and we'll take him off to protect him. De Luca can come on up front. Casellari and De Luca up front against Peterborough now as we rest the two main men up there. What's going on with the other results? It looks like Arsenal have gone ahead in their game. They have 1-0 up over Aston Villa. So we're still level on points with them having the game in hand. I don't think we play them before the end of the season. So Europa League looking a lot more likely than Champions League at the moment. Sessegnon on the left, big deep cross looking for De Luca, who actually connects with that header pretty solidly, but can't keep it down below the crossbar, and it remains 3-0. Elliot Anderson's having a terrible game for Posh, bless him. I mean, I was kind of done with him I never really trusted him as attacking midfielder in the Championship. We always played Luke McCormick there. So it is a bit of a surprise to see him playing as their attacking midfielder in a Premier League game. But who am I to argue with Morgan Schneiderlin, the man who got Peterborough promoted last season? De Luca's been fouled there by Smith. There were a couple of people suggesting we bring Kerr Smith along to Norwich. There's an example of why we don't. He started on the bench for a team in the relegation zone, finally comes onto the pitch and gives away a penalty. And it's a last-ditch opportunity for us to go 4-0 up. It's a shame Alvarez isn't still on the pitch to grab his hat-trick. And I have no idea who's going to take the penalty. It looks like De Luca is shaping up to have a crack at it. It is going to be De Luca versus Ocampos to make it 4-0, which, to be fair, it is a fair result, but it probably doesn't do Peterborough any favours when it comes to staying in the Premier League, and that was an exceptional penalty from Fabio De Luca. Norwich 4, Peterborough 0. There is a little part of me that feels bad, but it is only a little part because Norwich are paying me £42,500 a week, so football loyalties be damned. Let's go play Watford. Well, slight change of plans. It turns out we do play Arsenal. So I played the Watford game off camera and we bottled it. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. You didn't see it, so it didn't happen. Watford in the relegation zone as well. We really haven't done Peterborough any favours for staying in the Premier League this year, but we did then go to West Ham and beat them 2-0, which means the Premier League table is now looking like this. Look at what we've done to poor Peterborough today. I'm not proud of myself, but the Premier League is hotting up. We've got 4 games remaining. We are 1 point behind Arsenal, who we play now at home. A win over Arsenal has a very good chance of putting us into the Champions League qualification spots with 3 games remaining. This is ridiculous. And this is the team that we're going to put out there and try and do. I mean, realistically, we're probably going to bottle it again today. The Europa League will be absolutely fine. I will be very comfortable with the Europa League. I'd be very disappointed if we ended up slipping out of even that. But Europe of any flavour will be nice. Next season is season 10 of the Save. We've not played in Europe yet. I think we're due. So we've got Hoyenhal in goal, a back four of Angelino, Caesar, Noll and Wagyu. Zamorano at the base of the midfield. Janusek and Tipple ahead of him. Gilberto Carlos then behind Alvarez and Pedro Luis. Interestingly, it's been a complete contrast to what I said at the start of the episode, because Pedro Luis is now not scoring and has fallen off a cliff, whereas Alvarez is back in form and playing well. We've changed nothing. It just seems we're destined to not have the two of them playing well at the same time, which is, it's not ideal. It's definitely not ideal. But fingers crossed, we can go out there and pull off a very unlikely victory over Arsenal today. An Arsenal team, by the way, who 9 years in the future, the back five, including the goalkeeper, are all players who are currently at the club. And it matters not, because Ramsdale has absolutely, I don't even know what he's done there. The free kick looked like it was going wide and he's punched it back across goal for Pedro Luis to score. Let's look at it from the other angle. Tottenham man Tipple. What a weird attempt at a save from Ramsdale. He just had to push it round the post. He's ruined it completely, and Pedro Luis is there to score. We are 1-0 up, and as it stands right now, and it is early days in this match, we're up to third in the Premier League with 3 matches remaining. We could still win the Premier League as it currently stands. 4 points behind Chelsea, but obviously they have a game in hand, as do Manchester City, as do Manchester United. But the key thing is Liverpool and Arsenal, the 2 teams behind us, don't have games in hand. So if we're in the Champions League spots, with everyone behind us having played the same number of games as us, it is in our hands. Although in our final 3 games, we do play both Manchester United and Chelsea. They're obviously coming up in tomorrow's episode. If we win every game for the rest of the season, I think we win the Premier League. It's not. Don't even dare to dream, because it's not going to happen. That would be absolutely absurd. Right, Arsenal with the corner. I think a reality check is incoming. Noll heads clear, though. He doesn't live in a world of reality. He lives in a fantasy land. Oh, well, that was a bit of a risky 50-50 lunge from Pedro Luis, and he's got away with it. But Arsenal come away with the ball, continuing on the attack. And Saka now bursting forward from left back, but Wagyu's there to intercept. Cross continues, though, from Reina. And it is a goal for Arsenal. It's 1-1. And that ruins all my plans to win the Premier League. Oh, that's all I've got to say about that. I was getting excited for a minute there. I mean, tomorrow's episode's still very exciting, even if it ends like this. But look at how tight it is at the top of the league. We've gone from talking about winning the Premier League to talking about, well, I hope we manage to scrape into the Europa League. This is a true sort of top 6, top 7, who are still well in the mix going into the final few days of the season. I think Aaron Ramsdale is like best friends with Pedro Luis, because he has handed him 2 goals now in this game. That one, even more ridiculous than the first. I would be looking at potential match-fixing allegations here if I were the FA, because this is insane. He has just passed it straight to Luis, who scores his second of the game. Norwich 2, Arsenal 1. We're back up to 3rd place in the Premier League, and it's all Aaron Ramsdale's fault. Wow. And somehow he's still on a 6.4. He's not even got a red rating, despite gifting us 2 goals. Right, Janusek in midfield, plays it out to Wagyu on the right-hand side, who gives it back to Janusek, and now Pedro Luis, of course, now he's on a hat-trick. Gilberto Carlos is in! Oh, he's hit the outside of the post. If he grabs the 3rd there, then I think we're home and dry. Interestingly, with these strikers, it seems to be whichever one I criticise then goes and grabs a couple of goals. So maybe I just need to criticise them both constantly. You're both rubbish. You're losers. I'm going to replace you both with that guy I had at Schalke, Hollerback. He's coming in. I'm fed up with the pair of you. It's time for Hollerback. Right, we've got an Arsenal free kick within the D here. Reina to take. And it's just straight into the wall. Everything's going our way at the moment. That looked like it was always going to be a goal until he hit it. And, I mean, he messed it up. But then we've messed that up. And our Brazilian... I mean, there's offside, maybe. Our Brazilian wonder kid, Caesar, doing a Ramsdale is what we're going to call that from now on. But I think the striker who scored is offside. He's not. It's been given. I guess, I mean, we could hope for a moment, but it is now 2-2. This is, I mean, it's poor from Caesar. Hoyenhal didn't stand a chance because he's gone to try and save the first one. Caesar's tried to help him out, messed it up, and it's 2-2, which again puts us back down to 6th place from 3rd. But look how tight it is. I mean, Sky Sports are having a lovely time with how tight this Premier League is. Imagine the nonsense we're having to put up with on the telly about this. Right, Mortellaro's coming on as well. I think that'll do for now. Sessegnon and Mortellaro on. 2 pretty standard changes. Caesar heads clear, but it is Arsenal who continue on the attack. And to be fair, at the moment, they look most likely to grab a winning goal, which would be gut-wrenching at this point because we've got so close. We're obviously never supposed... We're supposed to be in a relegation battle. We're not supposed to be in this discussion, but now we're in it. It feels like it's an opportunity that's not going to come along again too soon. So let's try and win the Premier League, or at the very least, try and get into the Champions League. Wagyu trying to get the cross, but it's blocked. Janusek following up, hands it across to Zamorano. Now Mortellaro, Zamorano again. Tipple plays it into Pedro Luis, who's on a hat-trick. He goes round Ramsdale. What a moment for Pedro Luis. He's got a hat-trick for Norwich. Ramsdale's had an absolute nightmare, and we are back ahead in arguably one of the biggest games in the history of this football club. If it leads to us playing in the Champions League, you got to... Oh, my word, that's incredible from Pedro Luis. That's a £36 million goal right there. That's why we smashed our transfer record, to bring him in for moments like that. Right, final change. Asa Walsh comes on in midfield. Janusek was on a yellow card. He was tired. We're just shoring things up in there and crossing our fingers and hoping that we can hold on. I haven't even looked at what's going on in any of the other matches. All I care about is what's going on here, because what's gone on here... Oh, I was about to do a really positive outro to the match, but then they've hit the crossbar. Oh, this is horrible. Blow the final whistle, ref. I'll sling you some cash now. Match fixing. Who can? Let's do it. I'm all for match fixing. Arsenal are in again here, but... We have some valiant defending from Wagyu. Liverpool are losing at home against Wolves. Watford have just equalised against Chelsea. It is all opening up if we can just hold on. But Arsenal still pressing, and Guendouzi with the header that goes over. That's surely the end of the match. If Chelsea have dropped points here, something ridiculous could happen. We could backdoor Kev the Premier League. I don't know if I can cope with this. My heart rate is through the roof. That is what the Premier League table looks like. So Chelsea do drop points, 2-2 away against Watford. Liverpool losing at home against Wolves. Liverpool, it's tough to say they're out of it, but they're 3 points behind us now. It feels like they're not in the race for the Champions League anymore. Manchester United losing away against Aston Villa allows us to leapfrog over them. That could not have been a better set of results for us. 3 games to go. We're 4 points behind Chelsea. We still have to play them. They do have a game in hand, but we have to play them. We have to play Manchester United, and I think we play Everton. Tomorrow, we face Chelsea. We face Manchester United. We hope other results go our way. Our destiny is in our own hands. If we win our remaining matches, we're definitely in the Champions League, and there's an outside chance that Norwich could win the Premier League. Wouldn't that be mad? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.